Hey everyone, I'm Michelle Lilly. I'm a singer, a songwriter, an entrepreneur, a mom, and yes, I love to cook. Welcome to my channel, Michelle Lilly TV, where you'll find everything from official videos to live shows, and also me cooking right at home all of my favorite recipes just for you. Subscribe now, and welcome to my journey. Hey everyone, welcome to Michelle Lilly TV. This is Cooking with Michelle Lilly. So it's a Sunday afternoon. I spent the entire afternoon with my family at the pool, hence the soaking wet hair, and I still have my bathing suit on. But everyone's hungry, so I decided to come in the house and make something for everyone to eat, and I thought you may want to join me. So today I will be doing a salmon in the oven with a light breading on top and some sauteed mushrooms on the side. So we're gonna do a little bit of a mare and monte feel, which is ocean and mountain combination. It'll be a lot of fun. And then we're gonna place that with some organic brown rice on the side, and everyone's gonna be super happy and super full. So happy Sunday, let's start cooking. So I just wanted to show you my ingredients for the day. We have Baby Bella organic mushrooms. We're going to be sauteing them nicely. I do have a nice glass of Sauvignon Blanc from New Zealand to accompany my cooking today. These will be the seasonings that I'm using. So right over here, I do have breadcrumbs, and they have a bunch of seasonings in them. It's like the Italian style breadcrumbs. You can get them at the supermarket. This to me is salmon's god. I literally cook with Vegeta all the time. It's an all-purpose seasoning, and you do tend to find them in like European delis. So it's a little hard to find. This one is a product of Croatia, but trust me, if you can find it or maybe order it online, this will make a lot of your recipes completely come to life. I love it on salmon, I love it in soups, so definitely something to get. And I just have some extra. Here I have dried basil, dried oregano, dried parsley. I have some Irish butter, the salted kind, and just some regular salt and pepper. And then of course, I have my fresh wild sockeye salmon. So let's go ahead and start cooking. Okay everyone, so I set my oven to 375 because it is a thin salmon. It's not one of those super thick ones. If it was much thicker, I would definitely put it higher, maybe like 400. But since it's thin, it'll cook relatively quickly, and we don't want to dry it out. So I placed my salmon on this baking sheet. I put down a drizzle of extra virgin olive oil, went ahead and nicely sliced the salmon. So right now I'm gonna go ahead and put on my ingredients, and I'll show you what I do. So I start with Vegeta because it is very salty, please note. And I put a decent amount, okay? We want it to really give the fish a nice flavor. Don't go too crazy with it because like I said, it is very salty. And then I usually don't put that much salt then because it obviously is already salty. So I put the Vegeta first because we want it to seep into the fish while it's cooking. And then I go ahead and take my breadcrumbs. I have a spoon right here. And I'm going to cover all of my pieces of fish with a nice breading. Don't worry if it kind of goes around the baking sheet. Who cares? Okay. Try to get every little corner you can. And so now we are putting on the breadcrumbs. Oh my God, this is gonna be so good. Just go ahead and fill out every little corner. By the way, I don't ever follow recipes. I make things up as I go along. I've also been cooking for many, many years. So I've tried so many different things, and you know, sometimes I really like things and it sticks, and sometimes I'm like, eh. But this was a recipe that I definitely made before and I absolutely loved it. So I decided to share with you guys. So now I'm gonna go ahead and put my dry seasonings. We have the dried basil. I know it's already in the breadcrumbs, but I think that you can never have too much. seasoning also because it just really gives a nice full flavor to the fish. Okay, that was parsley, just a little bit of oregano, not too much, more so just for smell and light flavoring. And then I went ahead and pre-sliced 7 little slices of butter, since I have 7 pieces, and I just go ahead and put 1 piece of butter on each piece of fish. Obviously the larger piece of butter, I'll put it on a larger piece of fish. Smaller piece of butter goes on a smaller piece of fish. And last but not least, put a little pepper, just a little bit. Okay. And salt, I'm gonna go ahead and need 2 hands for that. Give me a sec. Okay, so I just put a little dab of salt on each one of the pieces. Don't go too crazy, like I said, because you have that vegeta there as well, and you don't want it to be too salty. And I'd say it's ready to be popped in the oven. So let's get these babies in the oven. Okay everyone, so we just put the salmon in the oven, and like I said, it's cooking at 375. We're gonna, see how that goes. It's a very thin fish, so it will cook relatively quickly. At the same time, we do want the breadcrumbs on top to kind of sort of become not totally crunchy. I mean, we don't want to burn the top, but we don't want it to be super mushy. So let's keep an eye on it. I know everyone's oven is different, so I never give a time frame for things. I always say, check it in like 30 minutes and see how it goes. I think that 30-40 minutes will probably be enough to cook the salmon, but I think it's not going to be enough to make the breadcrumb nice and crunchy. So I would suggest probably let it cook for 30 minutes, and then I will put the temperature higher. I'm going to do maybe like a 425, just so that it lightly browns the top and gets the breadcrumbs a little crunchy, and we can maybe leave it in for another 15 minutes and see how that goes. Okay, so right before I start chopping up the mushrooms and sauteing them, I forgot to mention that we should put the brown rice on now so that it starts cooking, because the clock is ticking. And ultimately we would like the salmon, the mushrooms, and the rice to all be done at the same time. So let's start getting the rice in the pan. I have my flame on. I'm just gonna put the brown rice, the 1 quart of organic chicken stock. You can use vegetable stock if you'd like. And we'll just go ahead and put some salt, and that's it. And then just at the end, when the rice is done, we're gonna put a little butter just to make it nice and moist. Okay, so I just got done chopping up all my mushrooms, and they are thinly sliced. I did go ahead and remove the ends so that they're just like nice and clean. Love it. So I'm gonna go ahead and put a nice cube of butter in the pan. Melt that nicely, and I'm gonna go ahead and put those mushrooms in there. Okay, so give it a good stir in that butter. In the meantime, our rice is cooking as well, looking good. And as that chicken stock keeps on evaporating, I keep putting more. So after you give the mushrooms a good stir, just let them sit in the pan and let them brown a bit. Okay, we're just gonna let it sit like this. So right behind me, I have the mushrooms. They're sauteing and they're browning right now. There is a trick. I was never able to cook mushrooms properly for many years, and I never understood why they were always super watery and they tasted a little rubbery, and I couldn't figure it out until I did my research, and I discovered that mushrooms are very porous. So when you immediately put the salt in, because usually I just, put all the seasonings in the beginning and give it a stir and let it cook. So when you put salt in the beginning, that actually opens the pores, and then the mushrooms release a lot of water. So then they kind of just like boil in their own water, which makes them very rubbery and chewy, and it's not very good. And also just, you don't want, watery mushrooms. So I put in some butter, let them just saute in the butter. They're gonna nicely brown. They're gonna create a little bit of a coat on the outside, hence, you know, covering those pores and closing them. And then when the mushrooms are pretty much done, I'm gonna go ahead and put the seasonings, you know, the basil, the parsley, a little bit of wine, and the salt. So that is the trick to a good sauteed mushroom. Okay, so as you can see, my mushrooms are nicely sauteing, and we're just gonna let them sit there. I don't even want to stir it too much because, like I said, I want them to kind of flatten on the sides. In the meantime, our rice is cooking nicely. Most of the liquids have evaporated, so what I'm gonna do is I'm not gonna go ahead and put more chicken stock because we're not making a risotto. I'm gonna go ahead and put some water, just cover it. So now cook it in some water. Give it a good stir. And we'll check back on it. Okay, so sorry, it's a little loud, but I had to put the fan on. As you can see, all the liquids evaporated and they started to blacken on the other side, as you can see, right? So now it's the perfect time to give them a good stir. We're just gonna let it sit for like another minute now. And then I would say that those pores are nicely sealed and we can go ahead and salten them and season them. Let's check on that fish. 30 minutes have passed. Wow, that looks so good. Okay, so as you can see, the fish is nicely cooked on the inside. It's a nice pink color, but that crust is still not as brown as I would like it, and it looks a little soft. So I'm gonna go ahead and raise the temperature to 400 and leave it in for another 10 minutes. Okay, so I just put a little salt in there. Sorry, I needed 2 hands for that. And now we're gonna go ahead and put our parsley and our basil. Just a little dash of white wine. That looks good to me. Give it a nice stir. Just that wine activates all the ingredients and gets it to kind of, you know, fully coat everything. And our rice is cooking really well, and the salmon is cooking now, so I think it'll all be ready very soon. Keep stirring these. That looks so good. I'd say these mushrooms are done. I'm gonna go ahead and turn them off right now. So I don't think the rice is quite ready yet, and all the liquids have evaporated, so I just put a little dab of water, okay? And now that we're reaching pretty much the end, I wanted to add some vegeta, my magic potion as I call it, and a cube of butter. Give it a good stir. That butter and that vegeta is going to make the rice so nice and tasty. Just give it a good stir and we'll check back in a minute. Okay, so my rice is done. As you can see, it's really, really nice and moist. It's not too dry, it's not too wet. We can turn that off and let's check on the salmon. Okay, oh my gosh, that looks so good. Now that's what I call a done salmon. It's nicely cooked on the inside, it's lightly brown on the outside. Let's take it out. Okay, so here you have it. An amazing plate with organic brown rice. We have one piece of salmon with that seasoned crust. We have the sauteed mushrooms. We're gonna go ahead and put some fresh parsley on that. And last but not least, drizzle it with some extra virgin olive oil and voila. Okay everyone, so I wanted you to see the finished product. My hair is finally dry, but I can go back to the pool now and wet it again. And cheers. stay tuned for another episode of Cooking with Michelle Lily on Michelle Lily TV. And if you haven't, please subscribe and click like and leave me your comments below. Ciao!